Hey guys, this is God of Politics and welcome back to a brand new video. In this video I'm going to be doing my updated Senate election prediction for 2020. I did one about a month ago, so this is my updated prediction for January of 2020. In 2018 the Democrats had many seats up for re-election, and even in their wave year they actually had a net 2 loss of Senate seats. So in this election, they are looking to gain seats along with the presidency. They see many opportunities for themselves to gain seats in the Senate. And I'm going to be predicting that. So we will start off with the safe states. Idaho will be safe. Wyoming will be safe even with a retired incumbent. It's the most red state in the country. Montana will be safe. Steve Bullock decided he's not going to run the Democratic governor of the state. And therefore, that swamps any chance of the Democrats being able to compete here at all. South Dakota will be safe. Nebraska will be safe. Alaska will be safe. Oklahoma will be safe. Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, as well as that is going to be it. Oh, West Virginia, obviously. That puts the Republicans at 42 safe states. They will get 42 straight off the bat from safe margins. And the Democrats, they will win Oregon by a safe margin. You've got Jeff Merkley here, who was able to win by comfortable margins in both 2014 and 2008. And obviously, if you've been there for a while, you're able to win by larger margins, even though some people are saying Oregon could be closer this election. I think it'll go by a safe margin. New Mexico will also go by a safe margin. You've got Tom Udall here, who was elected by comfortable margins as well in both 2008 2014, surviving the wave year by a good amount. And because of that, his seat will also be safe for the Democrats. I don't think in either of these states the Republicans will put up good candidates either. Illinois will be safe, obviously. Massachusetts will be safe. Rhode Island will be safe. New Jersey will be safe. And Delaware will be safe. That puts the Democrats at 42 seats straight off the bat as well. So they are tied here. And then we'll go to the likely lean and tilt states. Starting off with the state, where should we start? We'll start off with the state of South Carolina. I didn't put this as a safe margin just because new polls have come out showing that this race could be a bit more competitive. Lindsey Graham, not the most popular senator ever, but obviously this will go to him by a very comfortable margin, unless something crazy, ridiculous happens. But the seat is probably going to go by 8 to 9 points, in my opinion, which would be a likely margin. Also, the state of Alabama, I believe, will be likely. I believe it's likely that Jeff Sessions is going to become the nominee here, and if that happens, he was the former senator from Alabama that took over Doug Jones took over in the special election, beating Roy Moore. If Roy Moore is the nominee, I think even then Doug Jones would probably lose to him. But if Jeff Sessions is the nominee, it's going to be a likely margin, possibly even a safe margin. I also believe Kansas will be a likely state. You've got Chris Kobach here. He lost the governor's race, an open governor's race in 2018. In 2020, if he is the nominee, he likely would win the seat. But at the end of the day, even if Chris Kobach is the nominee, they're going to win it by a slimmer margin than if he's not the nominee. But either way, I think they'll win it. And because he may not be the nominee, I'll put this at a likely margin. But yeah, you have a retired incumbent here anyway, so it's a completely open seat too. I also believe Texas will be likely. You've got all the trends going on here. Went to Trump by 9, and went to Romney by about 17, and then Bush won it by crazy margins because he was the governor of Texas, obviously. And John Cornyn's been around for a while, I think. I'm not sure how long he's been around for. I think he was first elected in 2008, something like that. But he won re-election comfortably in 2014 in the wave year for the Republicans, and even with the trends, he'll be able to survive them because he's a long-term incumbent senator, and he'll win the state by a likely margin. Also, the state of Georgia, the non-special election seat, I believe will be by a likely margin. I don't think the Democrats are going to put up a very good candidate here. Similar to Minnesota, where you had two seats, you had Tina Smith and Amy Klobuchar both up for re-election. The non-special election seat, Amy Klobuchar won by 30 points. The special election seat with Tina Smith was a bit closer. I think it'll be a similar situation here, where the Democrats don't really put up a very strong candidate at all in the non-special election seat. And for that reason, I would go by a likely margin, just due to the trend of everything. It won't be by a safe margin. And for the Democrats, they'll win Minnesota by a likely margin. Tina Smith was able to win by about 9 points, I think, in Minnesota during the wave year and all. But I believe that since she's an incumbent now, since she is from the state of Minnesota, she'll be able to win it by a bit larger of a margin. Then we will go into some of the lean states. I think the first lean state will be Michigan. Red Eagle Politics loves to talk about John James being able to flip the seat, but he lost to Debbie Stabenow in 2018, although it was a wave year. John James still lost by 7 points, and although Trump did win the state in the presidential election in 2016, I just don't think that Gary Peters, he's ahead in all of the polls I've seen. I haven't seen John James ahead in very many polls at all. I believe it will be by a lead margin, most likely 3 to 4 points, closer to a margin to what it was than what it was in 2018, but it'll still go to the Democrats either way. I also think the state of New Hampshire will be by a lean margin. You've got Jeanne Shaheen, who was just reelected narrowly, very narrowly, in 2014, and that was a wave year. You see the Democrats won a Senate election here. They flipped a Senate election here in 2016, as well as winning in the presidential election, hasn't gone to a Republican for a very long time. And I think that it will go by a lean margin for Jeanne Shaheen. Unless the Republicans can put up a good candidate, this could be closer, but for now, I'll put it at a lean margin towards the Democrats. State of Iowa, I'll put at a lean margin. I don't think the Democrats have a candidate good enough yet to challenge Joni Ernst. She was only elected in 2014, which was a wave year for Republicans. She won the seat by about 9 after being held by a Democrat for a pretty long time. And I think that this state will stay with her. She is not the most popular senator ever, but she is in a red state, obviously, newly red state as of 2016 when it flipped to Donald Trump. And for that reason, it'll go by a lean margin, unless the Democrats can put up a good enough candidate. I also believe Kentucky would be by a lean margin. The state of Kentucky, you have Mitch McConnell here. He's the most unpopular senator in the country, similar to the former governor of Kentucky. What was his name? Whoever's after Steve Beshear. You had Matt Bevin. Yep, Matt Bevin was very unpopular, similar to the way Mitch McConnell was unpopular, and Matt Bevin lost his seat to Andy Beshear. I don't think you'll see a similar thing to that, just due to this is a national election, and Mitch McConnell is the Senate Majority Leader and everything, and he will win his seat by a lean margin. At the end of the day, he'll get a much larger lead as Election Day looms, just as he did last time in 2014. But yeah, so the second flip after Alabama will be Colorado. You've got John Hickenlooper, who is the former governor, very popular here, is running for the Senate seat against, what's his name? You've got Cory Gardner, obviously. He was elected to his first term as a flip in 2014 in the wave year. Barely elected, but it was a flip. I think this seat is easily going to flip back at the end of the day. Almost as large for margin as Alabama, probably by around 4 to 5 points. Cory Gardner is pretty much dead on arrival, just like Doug Jones is in Alabama. He sides with Trump almost all of the time, and I think that at the end of the day, he's going to lose the seat to John Hickenlooper by a pretty comfortable margin for John Hickenlooper, and the state of Virginia, will go by a lean margin. I'm almost going to put this as a likely margin, but I'll put it as a lean margin here, just because of the fact that it was a very narrow margin in 2014, although he did win very easily in 2008. It used to be more of a red state, now it's more of a blue state. Actually, I will put this as a likely state, just because he is a long-time incumbent and the state has been trending blue. So for that reason, it'll go by a likely margin. You got Mark Warner here. I think maybe he'll be going against Alyssa Baldwin, somebody like that, but no notable candidates that the Republicans are running in Virginia, and for that reason it'll go by likely margin, amongst other reasons. And the seat that will give them the majority is going to be Georgia, the special election. Doug Collins just announced yesterday that he is running for the open seat in Georgia. This is a special election. You've got Johnny Isakson, who was the senator here, just retired at the end of the year. Kelly Loeffler filled in his seat. Doug Collins is running for the seat now. It's probably going to end up going to a runoff. You might see someone like Jen Jordan running, maybe John Barrow running, but not the strongest candidates ever. But due to the trend, this will be a closer state, probably a similar margin to what it was with Stacey Abrams' seat last year. But so far, we have the Republicans at 50 seats and the Democrats at 47. Going down here to, I think, going down, actually, we'll go up to Maine. I think Maine will be by a lean margin. You see, Susan Collins used to win her seats by around, you know, actually, we'll put this at a tilt margin because, you used to see her winning by 30%. But now she is just not winning by these same kind of margins. She has a new polls came out, disapproval ratings at 52%. Uh, Majority of the population of Maine supports the impeachment. Um, and I believe that you do have Sarah Gideon, the state house speaker, running against her. But I think at the end of the day, she will retain her seat. Just even though partisan politics are more, they're seen a lot more now. It will be by closer margin because of that. But at the end of the day, she probably will win her seat unless she does something like votes against witnesses again in the impeachment trial, which we are yet to see probably going to happen tomorrow. But she could easily lose her seat, in my opinion. But for now, I'll put it as a tilt margin for her. From the state of Arizona, I believe will be by a tilt margin. You've got Mark Kelly running here for the seat, the former astronaut. His wife is a congresswoman from the, what seat is it? I think it's the 9th seat in Arizona, and I think you're going to see Martha McSally is, I don't know why they put her up for re-election again. She already lost by 2.5% to Kyrsten Sinema, and now you've got an astronaut running against her, and she's going to lose the state because of that. I don't know why they put her up for re-election anyway. She'll probably lose by around 2 to 3%. Actually, I'll put it a bit closer just because Mark Kelly isn't as more of a centrist as Kyrsten Sinema is. But at the end of the day, the Democrats will probably pull off a victory in the state. From North Carolina, I believe the Republicans will win by a tilt margin. You've got Thom Tillis here, who is pretty unpopular here. He was able to win in 2014, which was a wave year for the Republicans, but Thom Tillis is very unpopular. He defeated Kay Hagan in 2014. This was a flip. He was in the House of Representatives for a long time, but it was a flip in 2014, but that was a wave year. I believe that this seat could easily flip back towards the Democrats. He is pretty unpopular. If he becomes a bit less partisan, you see new polls out of North Carolina, 48% support the impeachment, 48% are against it. And for that reason, the state will go by a tilt margin to Thom Tillis, but I believe that it'll be very close. You've got Cal Cunningham running in this seat for the Democrats. He could make it a lot closer than some people think. But I think at the end of the day, this state is going to go, North Carolina is going to go by tilt margin. Incumbents actually don't do too well in the state of North Carolina, but I believe that Thom Tillis will be able to eke it out by less than 1%. One of the last states calling night. It'll be one of those states that goes into the next couple days, along with Arizona, most likely. But at the end of the day, we see this total final map to be 52 Republicans and 48 Democrats. Republicans retaining their majority. I think you could easily see this change. You could see the Democrats winning in Maine and North Carolina, which would give them a majority. You could also see the Republicans winning in Arizona, maybe possibly in Colorado or Maine or New Hampshire. I know Red Eagle would like John James to win in the state of Michigan, but I think for now we'll have it at 52 to 48. I think this might be a bit different from my last prediction. But I believe that this is a realistic prediction from what we've seen so far. It'll become more accurate as we get further into election season. But right now, I believe it'll be 52 to 48 for the Republicans against the Democrats. This will all be dependent on the presidential winner as well. But yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe as always, and I'll see you guys later.